Hi, welcome back to Affaircare. This is our third Love Extinguisher today, and the Love Extinguisher is physical neglect. And so just wanted to take a quick second and welcome you back to our little series. In case you are just catching up, we are going through this month all of our basic concepts so that to try to help introduce our new program, which is coming up, which is going to be called 90 Days to Save Your Marriage and Save You. We are hoping to start that about October 1st. So if you're interested, we'll see if we can leave a little information either at the bottom of the screen or on some of the podcasts and things, and we'll start letting you know so that you can indicate that you're interested. But we're going over our basic concepts as by way of introducing, and we've done a whole week on the Love Kindlers, and this week we're going over the Love Extinguishers. Now, if you don't know what a Love Kindler or a Love Extinguisher is, I would suggest that you look at our very first podcast, which is called Intro Basic Concepts. We'll go that one goes into it quite a bit, but I can summarize for you. Here at Love Affaircare, we think of love as a campfire, and there are actions that a person can do that will build the fire and make it hotter. Those actions would be love kindlers. They're kindling the fire. And then this week we're going over the Love Extinguishers. These are actions that a person would do that would put out the fire. They're extinguishing it. And different kinds of actions are, some are just a little bit of like a cup of water. It dampens things, but it doesn't put it out. Other actions are like dumping a big old pail on the water, and it pretty much puts it out immediately. And that would be what an affair is. It's pretty much a pail of water. So we're going over the Love Extinguishers, which are the actions that are going to be putting out the fire in your marriage. And what we see happen quite often is that people will say they want to reconcile their marriage after an affair, and they go to some kind of counseling, and the counselor says to them something like this: well, go on dates, date your spouse, have some fun again. And on the one hand, I think both people kind of think, how do I date somebody I don't really like right now? But they try, right? And those are things that they're making the attempt to build the fire, and that's a good thing. But then it's like it's not working, and the love isn't returning, and they wonder why. Why doesn't that work? Well, that would be because they're missing the second part. And I don't know why, but most counselors don't get this part. It's the Love Extinguishers. In addition to building stuff, you also have to stop doing the actions that put it out. So, that makes sense, right? If you put a log on and then dump half a bucket on, well, the best that's going to happen is it won't get any smaller. But it's already pretty small, right? So what you want to do is stop the actions that are dumping the water on. You want to start the actions that are adding the logs on and build it up. And then once it builds to a certain point, you'll start to feel the love again. And a lot of times, I'm not sure why, but counselors don't want to address the issues that are the actions that are putting out the fire. I think part of it possibly is that it's most people find it a little hard to have a spouse that they had an affair, committed adultery, and now they got to look at themselves and say, how did I contribute? Well, let's be clear, okay? In the choice to have an affair is 100% the responsibility of the disloyal spouse, okay? Doing that, the loyal spouse did not contribute one iota to that, okay? That is a choice that is 100% squarely on the disloyal, and you didn't contribute to that. But what I'm talking about is the condition that the marriage was in prior to the affair. Again, a lot of people kind of say, well, my spouse had an affair. Why should I look at what I do? Because in real life, I consider each and every one of you an adult, and you're a person who is responsible for yourself and your own choices. So the bad actions of another person, whether that's your spouse or anybody else really, does not give you free rein then to do bad stuff back. It's not justification for bad behavior. If your spouse is a jerk, you're not justified in oh, well, hey, guess what? Free pass, you get to be a jerk now. No. You would still be responsible to maintain your own, godly life, your own godly thoughts, and maintain your anger and be in a healthy relationship with your whoever is being that way. So, we are addressing it's harder, and then we're addressing the extinguishers. Today's extinguisher, as I've mentioned, is physical neglect. This extinguisher involves disregarding your spouse's physical needs, and here in the U.S. there are a couple of needs that are kind of hyper-focused on, but we're going to be talking about them today. In order, actually, well, not in order, but in order, we're talking about withholding sexual fulfillment. We're talking about abandoning physical attractiveness. We're talking about outlawing tender touches like, just hugs and kisses and holding hands. And we're talking about refusing to care for your spouse's body. This is, you've heard of it, midlife sets in. One or the other spouse either has an injury or an illness of some sort, and all of a sudden the other spouse is like off fooling around with somebody. You're not taking care of the physical. So, those are the little examples we're going to be going over today. Let's start with sex. I think probably the United States' favorite topic. We are so focused on sex. But the fact of the matter is that when a person marries, their only moral outlet for sexuality is with their spouse. When a person gets married, I think everybody has the idea in their mind that they are going to have a sex life with their spouse. They're going to have sexual fulfillment. And this particular love extinguisher is one where the spouse who's trying, I guess, to be in control or whatever they're doing, I don't know, they purposely withhold sexual fulfillment. And what they're doing is they're trying to manipulate or punish their spouse. So, not only is this an action that will extinguish love, it's also extremely cruel, because what you do is you say, here is your only moral outlet for your sexuality, and I'm taking that away from you, but I expect you to be faithful. Well, that's crazy. That's cruelty. So, in the Song of Solomon, in Proverbs 5 verses 18 to 20, God has told us that He created us as sexual beings. This is something, like, my personal feeling, when God creates something and He calls it good, that means that He condones it. But what we do as human beings is we take the good that God creates and we warp it, and we make it sinful. We warp our sexuality in a number of ways. Sometimes we will, and the main way that we do it, I'll just say this, is that when a couple is talking and thinking about their sex life, usually it's like, I'm thinking about my orgasm, or my pleasure, or what are you going to do for me, or I'm feeling horny, right? And what we're supposed to be doing is the whole idea of giving and service. We think of our spouse, we think of their needs, we think of their orgasm, we think of, are they horny? And then when you have the two of them acting like that toward each other, then needs are met, and you can see the two do become one because they are serving each other. Okay? In marriage, our body is not our own, but it's our spouse's to share. And in 1 Corinthians 7:4, we're told that our body, as a married person, my body is my spouse's, and his body is mine. So if you are withholding sex as a way to teach your spouse a lesson, or as a way to manipulate them to do something you want them to do, or as a way to punish them, like, let's say, this is something I frequently hear. She doesn't have enough credit card to spend, so she's not giving him any sex today. Or he didn't load the dishwasher right, so no sex tonight. And it's like, that's using it like a weapon. So when you're doing that, that is physical neglect, and you are killing your marriage. Thus, I encourage you to rethink your thoughts, put them back in line with the Bible, which is to say, this is your spouse's only moral outlet for sexuality. It's not reasonable to withhold. It is reasonable to say, honestly, you're not in the mood, you're tired or whatever. But then I would encourage you, instead of just saying no, and that's the end, like as if you're in charge, I get it that you're in the mood, I'm kind of not in the mood. What could we do to sort of help me get in the mood? Could I maybe ask if you'd help me with this? And if I could relax a little bit, I probably could get in the mood. See what I mean? Don't just say no. Just follow that up with what you could do then to get there. Okay? That's what I would encourage. The other thing I would encourage is to remember that when your spouse is a sexual being just like you, and when you're kindling the love, then that will spark up more of the desire to be close to your spouse and to be physical. So keep taking away the extinguishers, but start also adding some of the kindlers that we went over last week, and you will start to have the feelings as well to want to do this. So combine those, okay? Okay, the second part we're going to go over is a toughie for people. It's abandoning physical attractiveness. Now, again, here in the United States, we are hyper-focused on the exterior. Looks, youth. I hear over and over again women complaining, well, he only wants me for my body. And guess what, folks? It's kind of true. Not just for men with women. Men, as a general rule, can be more visual sort, but hey, guess what? There are plenty of women who see a guy, and here's their husband, their man they're married to, and he's a fine-looking guy, but he's not like a supermodel. And they see a supermodel, and guess what? That visual, the fact that the guy took time to do his hair and put on a good shirt, that visual catches her attention. So it's not one gender or the other, but as a general rule, men are visual, okay? This means that a portion of the mix of what kind of got him in the first place was that you looked pretty. And he found you physically attractive, okay? So here's what happens, okay? You get married and you're in your 20s and you look great, because that's honestly the epitome of your physical, attractiveness. You hit 30 and you start having some kids. Now, usually this does, in fact, change the shape and texture and things of a woman's body. And the fella, he's working hard so much and whatnot, he maybe starts, he's not going to the gym like he used to because he's working such long hours. And I'm not saying that you have to keep your rock-hard 20-year-old body, but this is starting to be a little slippery slope, because on the one hand, the woman is starting to say, oh my, I've got this little pudgy tummy here, and I've got a little bit of a curve on my hip now, and she starts to feel weird about her body. In real life, just so you know, having your children, it adds extra cool curves and stuff, and you look really, it has this wonderful way of sort of fulfilling a woman's body. It's very cool, but women don't see that for some reason, so they'll start to get, and then what do? You start wearing, I'm going to wear this t-shirt and jeans that don't really fit me like they used to, I'm going to wear sweats and shorts, and you know what I mean? You're just not looking as great because you kind of want to cover it up because you feel like I got this funny looking body now. Same for the guys, right? You go to work and you have to look a certain level, but then you come home and you're in t-shirt and jeans because it's phew, thank God I can get out of those work clothes now, right? But then when you're with your spouse, all they ever see is you with your hair pulled back and your dirty t-shirt on and jeans that don't really fit you like they used to. So this kind of puts a damper on things. And in real life, as time goes on, you hit your 40s, and some of the things in real life in 40s, your body starts to change. Your eyes will change. Your hair is different. Your skin texture is different. And some things that used to be pretty much an automatic response now take a little minute to get there, which is okay. Nobody's saying it. But what happens is you keep thinking, well, I'm not 20 anymore, and you feel weird or bad about it, and you either kind of cover it up, you don't talk to your spouse about it, something, and all that physical attractiveness is going away. And right about there, you're putting your marriage in a position of being vulnerable to an affair. Because the ladies, they want to have somebody think, wow, are you pretty? And in real life, I suspect your spouse thinks that, but you kind of always cover it up and stuff. Likewise, the guys, right? They want somebody to think, oh my gosh, he's just swoony, right? But again, I suspect your spouse thinks that, but you just don't say it to each other anymore like you used to. Or things are changing and you're kind of worried, like, you're like with me, I lost some hair a little bit when I hit in the mid-40s and I did menopause. And it worried me because I thought, what if I don't have pretty hair anymore? But if you work with your spouse on this, where it becomes a neglect thing is when you just abandon, like, trying to use what you have and look nice. What I personally encourage people to do, fellas, right? Comb your hair, take a shower now and then, put on a little cologne, wear your deodorant, and on the occasion, put on an outfit where you look good. The one where you're not, I'd say like business casual, and take her out looking nice like that, right? Or like dress up and go to church and you're wearing your nice church clothes. They may not be a suit and tie, but you look kind of good. That one. Okay, once in a while, do that. And ladies, same thing. You don't have to be fantastic. You got toddlers running around and, you're in your mid-30s and things are a little different and shifting. Cool. Still, take care of your hair. Do your nails. I personally, like my beauty regimen, you can tell I don't wear a bunch of makeup. I'm not that kind of person. I feel more natural. But sometimes it's fun to put on a little lipstick, eyeliner, fix up your hair, put it in a pretty updo, and put on that dress, We all have the dress we look great in. Put that one on, right? Or here's another one. You know how you have your bra and panties, and they're like white cotton? They're fine. They work every day. But once in a while, put on that lacy one, right? And then let them know that it's there all day long. Tease them with that. That'll be awesome. That's physical attractiveness. Take the time to fix yourself up a little bit and look good. Use the assets you have and let your spouse know that you're willing to make the effort to still look good for them. Okay? The opposite is the extinguisher we're talking about today, where you just sort of have abandoned it and you don't care how you look for them anymore. That communicates to your spouse you don't care about them or how they see you or how they feel about you. So, got that one covered? Okay, the third one that we're going to discuss is somewhat shorter. It's the kind of outlawing tender touch. That's hugs, kisses, holding hands, cuddling, that kind of thing. There have been reports that show that when infants are left in a sterile orphanage and they're given plenty of food and plenty of that kind of care, but they're not touched, they die. If you'd like, I will publish the little link to that in the description for the YouTube channel or on the blog page. When they are just touched and hugged by like surrogates in the orphanage, not only do those babies thrive, but the older, like the surrogate grandparent, also thrives. So we have, just by scientific ways, we know that tender touch is important. So if you are refusing to hug your spouse, kiss them, and I don't mean the chicken peck when they're heading out the door. I mean actually give them a kiss. Hold hands, cuddle up. What happens is, just like those babies, it's like they withdraw and they gradually die. And that's what is happening to your marriage. It's sort of gradually withdrawing less, and pretty soon it dies. To keep your marriage alive, to keep that fire going, institute touches and hugs. And I would just encourage you, if this is something you haven't been doing and maybe you kind of don't feel comfortable with it, just try once a day. Say, I'm going to hold hands with my spouse once a day. Or maybe when you give them a hug, just tell them ahead of time, I'm going to give you a hug, and I kind of want it to be like a 3-minute hug. And you'll be surprised, it feels really long. But then again, after the first minute, you kind of like settle into it. It's really wonderful. So give it a try. Just pick one of them: a hug, a kiss, or holding hands, or and just do it once a day. Okay, and then the final one that is regarding the physical neglect would be caring for your spouse's body. Now, this one actually does hit home for me as well. What happens is that as a young couple, you rarely think about, one day one of you is going to need to be cared for. We all say it in our vows: for better, for worse, richer, for poor, in sickness and in health. We all say that, right? But what happens is that in real life, in every couple, one or the other has some sort of medical issue. Now, it could be an accident. Okay? It could be an illness. Sometimes people just get like diabetes or something, right? Maybe picking something like, I'm going to pick diabetes because it's a really good example. People will hit maybe into their mid-40s, and it's pretty typical in the United States where, oh, hey, guess what? You're pre-diabetic. So your spouse, the one who's, diabetic, has to go on a sugar-free diet. And the other one starts to go like, wow, you expect me to give up all my sugar? Wow, and pretty soon it's like, you can see how that would be a damper on the marriage. The one who is diabetic is like, hey, I can't help this. It's not like I'm demanding you do this, but it's hard when you have all the sugar in the house. And the one who is the other spouse who's not diabetic for whatever, they're going to like, why should I have to give up all my fun for you? And it puts a damper on your marriage. But the fact of the matter is, this has to do with commitment, right? You committed to this person and to taking care of them and to being, thoughtful of them and their needs. And in this instance, I'm not saying you do have to give up your sugar, but it is reasonable and realistic to care for your spouse's body. Okay, maybe it will mean that you have to deal with the symptoms of a chronic illness. Okay, and you guys have to speak to each other and reach some agreement that works for the both of you. Okay, as an example, if in the diabetic thing, maybe you would, the one spouse is not giving up their sugar, but put it out of sight. And here in the main cupboard is all the stuff that anybody could eat, right? That's diabetic person or non-diabetic. It's just regular food, right? Beans. Anybody can eat beans, right? No sugar in there. But your little sugary things, if you're going to have that, put them out of sight of your spouse so they're not tempted to see it, and don't do it in front of them. Maybe that's the agreement you'll reach. You get my point here, right? Maybe you're the kind of person who, you're like me, right? I hate to exercise. I should take that back. I hate to just say, oh, time to do exercises now, and I have to go do jumping jacks or something, right? What I like doing, I like taking a walk, I like gardening, I like playing a game where, like I'm playing baseball or something, right? I like doing things that are physical, that are just like a hobby or an interest, but not, I'm going to go exercise now. That, to me, that is just the world's most boring thing. But if it's something my spouse needs, guess what? I'm going to be there. I'm going to do that. And it's difficult for me, but I'm going to try to do that because my spouse needs it and loves it. Okay? And then the final part of taking care of your spouse's body can sometimes be things like giving your spouse the dignity they need to take care of themselves. And as an example, what I mean is, let's say your spouse had an injury or has the kind of illness where maybe they are spending time in the hospital or they have to spend additional time in bed. There might be issues that crop up like, they need you to help bathe them, or they need you to help, clip toenails, anything. I don't know, just make it up. There's something that they need you to help them do, and it can feel very undignified to be like, you're in the hospital and, you got that little jammy thing on where your bum sticks out. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Everybody sees it. So guess what? Your job as a spouse is to be the one who protects their privacy a little bit. Maybe walk behind them with the blankie, holding it up, make sure the bum's not exposed. If they need a little assistance, maybe with washing, or do it in a way that's like not embarrassing to them, and happy to serve your spouse. Help them with their diet, help them with their medications, whatever it would be. So this is basically, we've gone over physical neglect. You can see how some of these things would deeply harm and hurt and kill the marriage. If you are engaging in withholding sexual fulfillment or abandoning physical attractiveness, it really, really kills your marriage. So these are things we need to talk about. I encourage people, stop doing the thing that's killing your marriage, and also at the same time, start doing the things that will build your marriage. So in this one, it would be start doing the things that are physical commitments. That would be indicating that you are committed to your spouse. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be going over the additional extinguishers. I think tomorrow we have a special guest poster, so that'll be cool. But Monday, I have Kindler number 4, and that would be, I think it's financial commitment, and we'll be going over that one. So look forward to that on Monday. And then we'll be going over the next things. We'll be going to the steps to end an affair, and the steps to reconcile and rebuild after an affair. So we hope that you'll join us on this journey of our basic concepts, and you'll start thinking ahead to possibly joining our little program, 90 Days to Save Your Marriage and Save You. Again, thanks for following. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.